214-0239.
Your Honor, if I may be excused, Mr. Thorne will take care of my Shakum matter. I spoke with Mr. Shakum myself already, so they will. Mr. Thorne will take care of that.
But if Mr. Thorne wants to take care of it. Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor. Go ahead.
John Smith, defense, bar number 18244.
Eric Thorne for Salt Lake City, bar number 18563.
Any opening, it looks like it is battery and domestic violence designation as an infraction, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
I do understand, Mr. Smith.
It is.
Any opening statement, Mr. Thorne?
Your Honor, the city reserves any argument for closing arguments.
Any opening statement at this time, Mr. Smith?
Not at this time, Judge.
You may call your first witness. Now, how many witnesses does this be on?
We have one, Your
Go ahead.
Honor. Your Honor, the city calls Brandy Garden for the stand.
Thank you. If you'll please come forward and watch that step up, okay? Just right there, and raise your hand.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes. Please have a seat.
Please state your full name and then spell your last name for the record.
Brandy Lee Burnham, B-U-R-N-A-M.
Okay. And
If I could interject for just a second, can you move the podium that way?
just straight.
Yeah, just a little bit. Straight that way. Thanks, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's better, thanks.
Where do you live, Brandy?
I live in downtown Salt Lake City.
Okay. And what do you do for work?
I do dog walking in Dog City.
Okay. Are you associated with one Michael Vigorito? What's the nature of your relationship with him?
Well, nothing right now. Previous,
Mhm.
it's hard to describe. It's kind of an off and on friendship, not relationship, something in between. I don't know what you would call it, but
Did you ever cohabitate, like live in the same place?
no.
Okay. Did you ever have a consensual sexual relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see him here in this courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you just point to him and identify something that he's wearing?
He's right over there. He's wearing a mask.
Your Honor, the city asks the court to take judicial notice of the witnesses identified the defendant.
Well, there's only one person.
He's wearing a vest.
Mask in the court, so I believe, according to the.
And I apologize, Your Honor, I don't mean to be redundant, just to make sure.
For purposes of the recording, she's identified the gentleman sitting next to Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Could you just give us approximately the date when your relationship or friendship began?
It's about it's winter 2021.
Okay. And did your relationship with him end at some point?
Well, it really wasn't, as you'd call a full relationship, but there was off and on periods where we would spend time together. Things would be good, and then he would suddenly stop talking to me with no explanation or no reason, and then he would come and seek me out later and say, "I'm sorry," or will we be okay? And then this would happen a couple times.
Okay. And could you kind of tell us what the status of that relationship was like on May 11th of 2022?
Well, I hadn't spoken with him in about 3 or 4 weeks prior to that, except for the day or two right before that day. And the reason why I was so concerned is because his behavior, he was acting very erratically, and I think that was because of the drugs. And
Objection, that's not relevant.
With regard to the statement regarding drugs, I will go ahead and strike that statement.
so his behavior, for whatever reason, was erratic and impulsive, and he was demonstrating troubling things. You know, people were telling me things that how he was acting. I was seeing it.
Okay.
And I was concerned, and I knew that it was getting to a point where something bad was going to happen. And I care about him a lot, and I wanted to help him. And so I was trying to convince him to get help. That's what I wanted to do. That was my main goal, was to get him help, no matter how.
And let's just try not to speak about what other people told you, just just so you understand. Just 'cause that is
My observation.
Just want to point that out. Okay. So could you tell us where were you at in the early hours of the morning on May 11th of 2022?
Broadway Towers Conference on 2nd or 3rd South and about 2nd East. I forgot the exact number, like 320.
Okay. And is that in Salt Lake City?
Yes, downtown Salt Lake.
Okay.
On Broadway.
And were you speaking with the victim that evening? Or, I apologize, were you speaking with the defendant that evening?
Yes.
Okay. And could you describe the nature of that conversation?
Beginning at what point would you like?
What was the first, in, I guess, the early hours of that morning, what was the first time you spoke to him?
I forget the exact time he came over, but came over and we started talking. I was trying to convince him. A lot of the details are not fuzzy, but I remember just, being upset and kind of started to cry and just be like telling him, I care about you. I just want you to get help. You need mental health treatment and substance abuse treatment. It's, and I don't know what. I was repeating. I felt like I was repeating myself over and over again, and I wasn't listening. And he was very manic, like angry, and he was like saying things I didn't understand, like babbling stuff about someone or people were going to get him or something.
And just to be clear, was he in the apartment that
Yes,
you were
he was in the
at?
apartment with me.
Okay. Do you recall approximately when he entered that apartment?
What time? It could have been 7, 8, 9, something. I thought it was in the middle of the night, but it could have been earlier. I'm trying to remember, but the time frame's fuzzy in my head.
Okay. So, is it fair to say you were in an argument?
I don't know if it started an argument. I was talking, but he tends to get very loud very quickly and agitated when he doesn't want to acknowledge or listen to something. And I'm not a yeller. I don't like to yell or scream or anything. I just want to communicate, and I wanted to communicate calmly. But he was starting to run around and get more, I guess, aggressive or troubling with his body language and stuff. And yeah, the yelling was getting louder. It was just like, what?
Okay. Did this altercation become physical at any point? Let's walk through that. How did it become physical?
I don't remember the first one he did out of all of them, but at some point he started, he ran across the room towards me, and he kind of shoved, it went like this and shoved me. And again, I don't remember the exact order of these, but in one of the shoves, I flew into the bar stools where the chairs were, and I hit the ground, and I pulled like a muscle in my thigh or something. Like it was just like, it was awkward the way I hit the ground and everything. A couple of times during the incident, he would come up to me really close to my face, like breathe like right in my face, and he would chest bump me or head bump me or something, kind of like guys do when they fight, just like kind of aggressively. And a couple of times, he grabbed my shoulders and would shake me, and like he was yelling stuff like, "What did you do?" And like some things made sense, like he was saying things, and he was like confessing things that he thought like he said things to hurt me. I don't know if they were going on, but amongst that, he was he slapped me one time across the cheek, like hard, like, and my glasses flew off my face, and I was going to get down to grab them, and he got to them before me. He picked them up and handed them to me. Then another shove, he shoved me into the couch, and I hit the hard part of the couch in the back of my head really hard. And I kind of like zoned out for a sec, like it felt like I was going to pass out because it was really strong, the pain. And I felt like something bad was going to happen in that second, like I was going to go out. But, and there was different shoves, and he never like punched me close fist. It was always like shoves, pushes, bumps. One time I was on the ground, I think, for when he shoved me before. I was on the carpet, and he put both of his legs up, and he kicked me in the chest, like right here, and I went back. And each time he impacted me, like it felt like my body moved several feet. It was just.
So it sounds like there was multiple
Yeah.
points where it's getting physical. How long would you say this whole, I guess, when the point where it got physical, how long did it last?
It felt like hours, but I don't know if it was like an hour or two or less. It's in my mind. It just the time doesn't seem so long. I don't think it could have been hours and hours. It must have been an hour or two or less.
Okay.
I'm trying to think approximately.
So how did this altercation end? I guess how did this whole conversation end?
He was saying, I hate you. If I could hit you 100 more times, I would hit you 100 more times. And he kept saying, I'll get treatment. I'll do it on my own. And I don't want you to have anything to do with it. I hate you. And I hate you. And I said, well, I was thankful he was like acknowledging, he would get help and stuff. But he was still angry. He was really riled up. And at some point, I went into the bedroom, main bedroom, and I didn't say, and then at this point was I screaming, I thought, or saying, leave, get out or anything like that. Like I was in shock because I kept expecting him to listen to me or something. So when these physical things were happening, I don't know, I wasn't registering. I was like, I'm focused on helping him, and I was in shock that they were happening. You know what I mean? I was just in shock. So I was shaken. I just went into the bedroom. I laid down. I just crawled up and just kind of laid there. I just didn't really know what to do at that point. I didn't say, get out, leave. I'm calling the police. I just was numb.
Okay.
And he sat out in the living room or something. I don't know for what period of time. Again, that's fuzzy. But at some point he left to go to River Rock Apartments to pick up a bag or take a bag or do something over
Okay.
there where he's staying. And
Do you know approximately what time it was that he left?
I don't know the time.
Was it before dawn
Um,
or after dawn? Do you recall?
might have been once or twice he left. It's hard to know. I think it might have been 1 in the morning. Like,
Okay.
I wish I knew. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Are there any other instances of him striking you or getting physical with you that you haven't already mentioned to us that you recall?
That day?
That evening, during the
Yeah,
altercation that
see,
you described?
Okay. Just in those incidents, the major ones, the five, the chest bumping, the kick, the shoves, the slap, those are all the ones that happened. And none the day previous to that.
Okay.
Or any other.
Did you contact the police?
I did.
When did you contact the police?
I waited like half a day because I was so worried about what was going to happen to him being on probation because
Objection,
it would
that's
jeopard-
not relevant.
So, overruled. I mean, I don't know what she's talking about with probation, this probation, other probation, doesn't matter to me. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I was concerned. I didn't want anything to happen to him. I knew he needed help, and I didn't want him to get in trouble. So I kept thinking, if I do this, if I call, it's the right thing to do. He did what he did. He shouldn't have done that. I can't just ignore it. I have to stand up for myself. I can't just allow someone to do that to me, even violence. I wouldn't want anyone else to have that to them.
So did you recall what time it was, or what day and time it was when you called the police?
It was Afternoon. It was like a half day later. It was afternoon.
Okay. Did they, when the police arrived, did they take photographs of you?
Yes, I think, yeah, they did. A lady was with him, and they took photographs of my arms and my hands and stuff. They couldn't do the back of my head.
Your Honor, I'd like to pull up some photographs on the street. Randy, do you recognize this photograph on the screen?
Yeah,
Okay. What is it of?
it's just my arm. It's like my arm.
Okay. And is this the best of your knowledge, is this the photo that the police took of you when they came to photograph your injuries?
Yes, yeah, the bruising was pretty light, so.
Okay. Let's bring up another photograph. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yeah, I felt my arms were grabbing me several times.
And was it taken at the same time?
Yes,
Okay. And this photograph,
yes.
do you recognize what it's of?
Yeah, it's my hand.
Okay.
I
And
think I hit
was
that
this
into furniture or something.
and taken at the same time as the previous two? Okay. And this photograph?
That's just me.
And it was the
Yes.
video? Okay. Do these three photographs, to the best of your knowledge, are they a fair and accurate representation of, I guess, the state of your injuries at the time of the police photographs?
Yes, they did change slightly, but yes.
Your Honor, the city moves into evidence city's exhibits 1, 2, 3, and 4. These four photos in the order I described them.
Okay.
Thank you. Cities 1 through 4 admitted the evidence.
Let's just go through these once again. Could you just describe the injury on this photograph? We're going back to number 3. Could you just describe to me what, I guess, the injury that's here that you sustained?
The hands, when I was being shoved or pushed into stuff, I was hitting like the bar stools or the couch or the table and stuff like that. And at some point, I hit something really hard, like a sharp or I think it was the bar area.
And was that as a result of the defendant pushing you?
Yes.
Okay. And just walk us through again the one on this one, injury that you
On
see.
several occasions, he grabbed me really hard with both his hands and moved me, shoved me, threw me across.
And did that result to an injury on this part of your arm, since you were
Yes.
explaining? Could you kind of just describe for us where, for those of
Oh,
us?
right in this area here.
So you felt the bruising in that
Yes,
area?
yes.
Okay. And would you say, I guess, give the same explanation for this photo of your arm?
Yeah, I think it's on the side here, right there. That's where I hit like the chair of the couch.
Okay. Now, you described an injury to your head at one point when you shoved you. Where was that injury located?
It was on the back of my head, like right here at the very top. When he had shoved me, I was standing up, and it was really hard and really fast because he would run across the room in some of these instances and do it very abruptly. And I didn't have time to move or anything. And I fell back and I hit like the arm part of the couch that was sharp, like harder than the other parts of the couch. And I hit with such force that it felt like a burning or like, a sudden pain that was, to me, really scary because I didn't know what was going to happen. I just thought I was going to pass out.
Did it result in like a goose egg or something
Yes.
like that?
I did
Were
feel
you
it.
able to feel it with your fingers?
Yes, and someone else could, if I want to say that.
I think we can put the screen off for now. Okay. Did you sustain other injuries as a result of this altercation?
Just like in my thigh muscle, it tore or stretched or I would say tore because for days it was in pain from one of the falls back again, towards the kitchen bar area. When he ran shoved me or pushed me. I landed in such a way that it was awkward, and it tore something, and I pulled it. I just felt that for several days afterwards.
And how long, you said that you were able to, I guess, feel these injuries still impacting your body for about how long? I guess, how long was the longest one that stayed with you the longest, I should ask?
3 or 4 days, and it was probably, the longest would probably be the thigh muscle. The contusion on my head was maybe 2 or 3 days too before it lessened it, but I had headaches for about 2 or 3 days. That's what was fun.
Your Honor, I do not have further questions at this time.
Mr. Smith?
All right. Morning, Ms. Burnham. Thank you for coming. Now, you stated that you and Michael had been in a relationship of sorts, right?
Yeah.
And sort of off again, on again, right? And that there were periods where he would not talk to you.
Yes, very abruptly, very suddenly.
Wouldn't return your calls or texts, right?
What was that?
He wouldn't return calls or texts.
Yeah,
for example.
sometimes minimally he would, but it would be something really short and ominous that wasn't helpful when I was asking questions and begging to know what was going on.
Right.
It's just,
And this was upsetting, wasn't it?
oh yes, of course, yes, it's very exciting.
Now, the night of this incident, supposedly May 11th, when the police showed up, you didn't request additional medical attention, right?
Oh no,
And they gave you some information for a domestic violence advocate, right?
yes.
But you didn't talk to that person at that time, correct?
Oh,
Your Honor,
I think I did.
object. I'm not quite sure how this is relevant.
Tina or?
I'm not quite sure how the victims, when they're not.
I'm going to allow it. Overruled.
I spoke with someone,
Okay.
and I think her name's Tina.
Okay, and then when the police arrived to take photographs, to your knowledge, they didn't take any pictures besides those of your arm and face, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, but they couldn't take a picture of the contusion in the back of the head.
One moment, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Just briefly. So, Randy told us before that you yourself were able to feel the effects of these injuries, and it was very obvious to you that you had in fact been injured by the defendant as a result of this altercation.
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Any other witnesses, Mr. Thorne?
No, Your Honor, consider your absence.
Stay rest. Mr. Smith?
No, pass rest.
Yes, Your Honor. As we've heard here, the victim, Freely, came forward, took a lot of courage for her to come up today to explain this thing that happened to her. She explained in detail what happened after having taken an oath to speak the truth. She spoke about the injuries that she received and how they had a lasting effect on her, and how it was very obvious to her that she had been injured that night. She spoke in detail about the altercation, the nature of the altercation, and the great effect that it has had on her. Based on her testimony, based on her, for which I point out that she did make an oath to speak the truth, and the nature of the injuries which we saw here today, I believe that we have met the elements of domestic violence battery. As you know, the city code does not have any sort of requirement for the level of injury. All it requires is some showing that there was some showing that there was an offensive touching. And from the testimony of the victim, it's very clear that multiple instances of harmful or offensive touching occurred that evening. So based on all of that, Your Honor, I ask that you find the defendant guilty of domestic violence battery.
Your Honor, the city's not met its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. First off, we saw the photos of Ms. Burnham after the incident, and frankly, they appear not to show anything. Certainly, it's not marks that would be consistent with the testimony of the events that occurred, the shoving, the slapping. There's really very little to go on off of those photos. Furthermore, Ms. Burnham stated that she was upset in the way that this relationship was progressing, that Mr. Vigorito, had frequently would not answer texts or calls, and that frustrated her and upset her. And this, frankly, colors her testimony. It makes it less than reliable. And finally, we have not heard from any sort of independent third party about what might have happened as well. We have only Ms. Burnham's testimony to go on, and the evident bias makes that testimony less than reliable. And so, as a result of that, the city has not met its burden, and I would ask Mike Vigorito not to.
I'm ready to make my ruling.
Understand.
The problem is we only have the testimony of this witness. I have nothing else to go off of with regard to testimony. Therefore, I find that the city has met its burden of proof, and I'm answering the conviction. So, I do find that the city has met its elements of battery with one witness to testify and only one witness to testify. And therefore, I'm entering the conviction. Would your client like to have sentencing today, or would you like to send it back?
Sentencing today.
What's the city asking?
We'd ask for on the standard bail schedule fine. I should have had it up sooner for battery. We'd also be asking for domestic violence evaluation and treatment to be part of, and we'd also be requesting probation. And Your Honor, I've spoken with the victim, and she indicated that she would be interested in giving a victim impact statement if the court is inclined to hear it.
Sure.
Would the court like to hear this now?
Yeah.
I decided not to. I don't want to right now. It's fine.
Your Honor, it sounds like Ms. Burnham it's decided not to give a victim impact statement. So, and I apologize, Your Honor, I should have had the bail schedule up. I believe, according to the bail schedule, the battery fine is $640. So we'd be asking for that in addition to the domestic violence evaluation and treatment and probation, as we stated.
Yes, so, Your Honor, given, I believe that domestic violence evaluation and treatment might not be appropriate in this case, given that this was a fairly short-term relationship, not exactly, a committed relationship, and thus doesn't really carry the same sort of, dangers as, for example, an abusive marriage or an abusive cohabitated relationship. I would ask if the court is inclined to impose classes of treatment, that it impose perhaps anger management. Additionally, Mr. Vigorito has recently completed substance abuse treatment at a facility, and so he is attempting to get his life together and working on the various issues that he's had going on his life.
With regard to sentencing, the court imposes a fine of $750, suspends the $750, leaving nothing to pay. The court is going to impose 364 days good behavior, no violations of the law, excluding one of minor traffic. If you drive, you have to have a license and insurance. You will complete a domestic violence evaluation of a licensed treatment provider. You may pick whichever provider you want. I need to have the evaluation back no later than July 24th. I need to have treatment, if any is recommended. I need to have that completed no later than January 9th. Your fingerprints need to be taken. Do you have governmental issued ID with you today? So you'll get your fingerprints taken before you leave today. Anything else? I want to make sure that we've got current contact information. So, Mr. Smith, if it is, please get it and just give it to
believe it's all the same.
And then anything else?
No, I just, in terms of exiting the courthouse, I just wanted to get the victim. I want to speak with bailiff just in terms of who leaves when.
Oh no,
So that she's going to go.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
What?
Are you
Okay.
ready?
Should
Are you ready to speak now?
you said I could wait if I wanted you to talk to you?
I'll call you later.
So we will, because it's city code,
I need to figure out how to get a ride home or something. I don't know if it feels like. So, should I just sit here and take it? Huh?
You didn't hear it?
No, because no, I don't do car. I have an e-bike and I didn't want to ride my e-bike and drive somebody else.
Well, that's what, if you need to call someone, let's have you sit down with us, so that way.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about him hurting me. But,
Okay.
yeah, he hasn't tried since that day. So. I open carry a firearm typically, so it kind of sucks to come here because you can't breathe.
It's understandable.
So it's, you feel naked when you don't have, you know?
Yeah.
Like this guy just told me there's nothing back there.
Do I just sit down here?
Yeah, just hang out and we'll keep an eye on you.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like they left, no further issues. So if you need to walk around, you should be pretty safe in here.
They left down here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're just gonna stand outside, so when you're making sure, I'll walk you out to your car if you're getting an Uber or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get out here.
But at least in here, you should be pretty safe in case you need to use the restroom or want to get some food or drink or anything. So we won't let them back in at this point.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem. He doesn't want to be anywhere near me or talk to me, I'm sure.
Well, you know, like I said, just
Weird things happen.
Based on my training, I've been here 5.5 years. People don't like losing.
Yeah, I actually was worried. It's because of lack of physical evidence. You know, he was very confident and confident he was going to get away with it. You know, even for months.
That's the only reason we had you come sit with us.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
like I said, they're just outside hanging out right now, so just avoid outside when your Uber's here. I'll walk you out to your Uber. And,
What? Let me see.
yeah, because they're just standing around up front. So
Like just standing around.
Yeah.
Sonny, his friend, was giving me weird looks in the courtroom when I was testifying, like making
we got
faces.
that on, yeah, we got that on camera, which is why it came up.
Oh, you saw that? Okay. I was like, why is he doing that? He was like making these. I was like,
We pay attention.
gosh. And I'm just, it's already hard enough being up there, and it's hard when someone, like his friend doesn't believe you, and you're trying to tell the truth, and I just don't get it. If anyone ever lied about, like, falsely accusing of someone of doing something, I think the book should be thrown at them, and because it ruins the chances for people to really get hurt in domestic violence and assault. It damages, makes it difficult. I mean,
That's why people get sworn in and are put under oath, is what they call it.
yeah.
With crimes and penalties of perjury if they lie, because through further investigations or things come out in the future that he actually lied on the stand, then they will be punished because all these recordings or all these court hearings are recorded, so
yeah.
they can be referenced in case something like that does come up in the future.
I was surprised he was willing to perjure himself. He didn't testify on his own behalf, but I was like, into the last minute, I was hoping that he would do a plea in advance or admit the guilt and like just have it over with for himself and for me. It's like, I know it's difficult to admit certain things, but the truth like reveals itself eventually, And I just wanted him to be okay with the truth.
Like I said, you're okay. Take your time, and when your Uber gets here, we'll walk you back to your car.
I don't know if I have enough room.
Back by the generator,
Oh,
sort of like it threw it over the fence.
someone threw it over the fence. Was it the Yamas guys?
Huh?
Was it the Yamas guys? Is it Teddy? Well, until you turn this on a bomb, I'll stand back.
Oh, hard check. I think that didn't blow up, so.
Okay, my driver's 2 minutes away, it says. And if you want to read about being in proximity, I'm on with the event, we're talking about that. I think fathers, but he's not the kind that will do it. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the epic happen and things,
That's all.
Unfortunately, the previous domestic violence was one in Florida, so I know this is telling me that I've never hit a woman since I do it. And all of a sudden I didn't read it with him, and then he said it, something that brings you
Those kinds of things. Like a lot.
Yeah, I believe he has really, aside from the substance abuse, he has an undiagnosed personality disorder that has diagnosed. And that's not it causes a lot of confusion.
Well, hopefully with the treatment that the judge ordered, we'll get that help.
Yes, that's what I want to do. I don't feel vengeful, I don't feel anger or hatred towards it, I don't feel any disappointment. Feelings, but ultimately it's like, I wanted him to just acknowledge the truth and do it himself and really help himself so he doesn't have to be someone else after me. I don't want to stand by and allow anything that could hurt another person in the future. I see too much of this, in the system. I'm in the neighborhood council who says the city of Life now, and they're seeing all this crime, domestic violence, and assaults, and people going in and out of jail, and they're not getting accountability, and the weight of what they do is not impressed upon them to not do it, and repeat it over and over again.
That's all the defunding the police stuff, because they took over $1 million a couple years ago from Salt Lake City, for example, to staff a bunch of social workers. So there's less cops, but more social workers. But social worker is long.
Yeah.
They're gonna wait for the cops.
Yeah.
Were you just in the lobby of the American Towers?
It's double
The guy
down.
just looks just like you.
Did you see where they went? They're not here.
Most people know this building. It's a pretty dominant building. So if you're Uber,
Oh no, I was talking about Michael and
Oh,
I
them.
see him, okay.
oh no.
I just wasn't sure if they walked off.
That's why it's like to stay out here and stand up. Yeah. Is that Lyft?
Oh, maybe
Lyft?
that's it. Maybe that's it. Oh, he said, what's in the window?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.